the pressure is so great on behalf of, again, the backers and on behalf of also Palestinians, that there is a sort of realization that for the moment Hamas is absolutely on their own, that they have been isolated domestically and regionally to the extent that their very existence is now being questioned. It's hard to say that that Netanyahu would actually accept all conditions. I mean, the very fact that this is again US-mediated peace gives you the optics and tells you the story that Israel cannot, even under the new circumstances, with all the military might, with all the global and regional backlash because of the Israeli operations on the ground in Gaza, it cannot create facts on the ground on its own. So Bibi Netanyahu is in a very awkward situation. I think it's the very fact that there is now a peace process, a ceasefire negotiation taking place, is already good news for the region, not only for the Palestinians and the Israelis, but also for the region in general. So we are currently witnessing the first real test of Trump's Gaza plan, when both Israel and Hamas are negotiating indirectly with the US, with Egypt, and with Qatar mediating. So phase one of this deal means a ceasefire and a hostage prisoner swap. This could be sealed probably this week or in the next weeks. This is the pressure coming from Washington, and specifically from Trump. Trump's direct involvement adds political urgency, but of course it hides a big risk, especially for Trump if the process fails. Now, what is also important to highlight is this completely new situation in which Israel is. In a sense, Israel has emerged after 2 years of operations, not just in Gaza, but in the whole region. Israel has emerged as a sort of a regional hegemon. It has weakened Iran's defense and military capabilities. It has decimated Hamas and Hezbollah, and it has outlasted Assad's regime in Syria. And more or less, we can argue that it's not one war, but several wars that Israel won militarily or indirectly through military means. Let's not forget also the conflict with the Yemen's Houthis. But at the same time, Israel is in a very, internationally and geopolitically, is in a very awkward situation because of the way how this urban warfare against Hamas is being conducted with a huge human loss for the Palestinians, and also with a huge political pressure on Bibi Netanyahu. That means that also within Israel, the support for these ongoing military operations is shrinking. So it's very interesting observation, because Israel's dominance is meanwhile, regional dominance is meanwhile hard to overlook, but at the same time, you could easily assume that no one in the regional constellations of actors would ever accept a sole regional hegemon in the Middle East. Hamas fragmented leadership is fighting for relevance, and the prison, in this case, the hostages swap and the prisoner swap. The hostages swap is basically life insurance for Hamas. Under these circumstances, I think that either Hamas, if Israel succeeds, because again, Netanyahu's survival depends also on delivering results. So everything is interconnected. So if there is indeed an outcome from these negotiations that leads to the hostages release, this in itself will make Hamas to a great extent irrelevant in the face of all the other proxies that are supporting the cause of Hamas. And there are also signs on behalf of the regional backers, whether it's about Qatar, or whether it's about Iran or Turkey, that this support is also fading away. So we have like two positive signals, in my view, that point to the fact that there might be a post-Hamas governance structure, that everyone is actually ready to let Hamas down in the process. And the only open question that remains, in my view, is actually the question how Hamas will accept this new reality, whether it will accept it without a fight. That means a new strike or any kind of, a sudden, surprising act of violence that could unleash a chain of reaction on behalf of the Israelis. That could be one scenario. Or other scenario would be to expect that the pressure is so great on behalf of, again, the backers and on behalf of also Palestinians, that there is a sort of realization that for the moment Hamas is absolutely on their own, that they have been isolated domestically and regionally to the extent that their very existence is now being questioned. And
Cool.
that could be the more positive scenario, in my view, that could lead to an outcome. Hard to say that that Netanyahu would actually accept all conditions. I mean, the very fact that this is again US-mediated peace gives you the optics and tells you the story that Israel cannot, even under the new circumstances, with all the military might, with all the global and regional backlash because of the Israeli operations on the ground in Gaza, it cannot create facts on the ground on its own. So Bibi Netanyahu is in a very awkward situation, on the one hand, to actually stick to the US plan and comply with it, but at the same time follow the own interests. And what's the own interest in this game? Of course, if we consider the Israeli interest, I would assume that they would still go for the completion of the Israeli operations, so that they have no interest actually in stopping now after 2 years. I mean, they would want to see this to be completed. And in a sense, this, in my view, is the paradox of diametrically opposed interests and goals. And something's got to give in this equation, but I cannot tell you what exactly, as we know how fragile and how insecure the whole situation is.